Welcome back to the show, guys. This is Alex the Goal Guy. This episode features two extremely powerful bodybuilders. Mr. Elliot Wise, again, as you know, you're getting bored already of Mr. Elliot Wise and me and my continued relationship with him because he's fucking awesome. And Mr. James Cooper. This episode was probably the most fun I've had in the entire time. James is engaging, he's funny, he's cool, he's smart. I think you're going to love this podcast. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to go deep on politics. We're going to go deep on some crazy topics came out of this episode. I think you're going to love it. Sit back, chill, relax. This one here, forget the coffee. Go for a glass of wine. Let's do that. Let's have a glass of wine and just zone out and enjoy. And as always, like, follow, and step up.
Men now act younger. There's a huge difference between someone's actions and their physical appearance. When you are a child in your behavior, you will look and come across like a child to everybody else. And I think men that have that demeanor, that aura, will always come across older to those that are just not as mature. Yeah. And there seems to be a pandemic of kids.
Okay, I think it's really simple actually, because the average age people move out of home now is 35, so our age, pretty much, which was unheard of before. People having families, early 20s, even their teens. And the reason people aren't having families earlier, which we're technically supposed to, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but generally, physiologically, particularly for women, it's better to have kids younger. And even for men, actually, having kids a lot older isn't great. The reason people are doing it is because of money. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. And you know what's coming out, basically and the reason we talk about people not having enough money, it's very simple. People will use all these different things, cost of living, energy. It's not that. It's the cost of housing. It's the number one thing. It doesn't match up with age. An example would be, my parents are both dentists, upper middle class family. My family home nowadays is worth probably about 1.7 million, I'd say, pounds, which is at $2.2 million, etc. My dad's salary when he bought it, my dad bought it when he was 23. He just basically qualified as a dentist and bought a 7-bedroom family home. So in today's money, that was worth, he said, about £300,000, £250,000. And I said to my dad, what was your yearly salary back then? He said about £200,000. So his yearly salary as a private dentist, which being a private dentist now is probably 150 to 200 if you're a successful businessman, similar to your wife's a doctor, right? Mm-hmm. The thing is, a medical professional, their salary was the same as a 7-bedroom house. That is completely detached from what it is now. Now you're looking at it, what is that? So the salaries have stayed exactly the same, but the cost of housing has gone up. What is that?
14x from 300 to 1.7. It's okay. It's not a 10x, but it's at least a 5.5x.
Right. So people, it's insanity. It just doesn't work anymore. So people have stayed children. What they'll do is they won't have children, and we know, more than anyone, having kids makes you grow up quicker because you need to, because you have two little things basically that rely on you. And also, what's happened as well to add to that, why men are staying kids longer, is I hate this, and you're probably the same as me. People say it's men's fault, it's women's fault, but really what's happened is, because of this, because people are staying younger and more immature because of this situation in their life, and having kids, having families, not growing up, they're living at home. Women now have become more masculine, they're told they don't need men, and men have become more feminine, and they both just make each other worse again and again and again, and that's why we have men who look like boys or behave like boys for their whole life.
An interesting concept that very few people realize is that throughout history, empires are built with slaves. Mm-hmm. And the control mechanisms that empires use differs each time. So before, you'd have a slave master who would physically beat you and make you do your work. Then you could argue religion was something that kept people in line and kept people controlled, probably more in a positive way, but still had been weaponized by certain empires to control, and it still is in certain parts of the globe to this day. And more recently, we have monetary slavery, inflation. Inflation is the most dangerous and scary tool that the empires use, because it does two things. It creates a need for money because everything you're earning is depreciating in value over time. So you're constantly having to earn more to stay just exactly where you are. Case in point, your father. So you're getting poorer as you're becoming older. And as a result, women are now being forced, if they want to live a half-decent life, to actually move into the workplace.
Have to.
And we also know the biggest method of control is stripping down the family unit. Inflation does both of those things very wisely because, one, we've forced women back into the workplace, and secondly, then taken away their drive for kids because the need to feed yourself has to come before having a kid. If you can't afford to feed a family, then why would you have a family? So with regards to your necessities, you will always start with that. And if you strip that of the human populace, you very quickly remove that family unit, which then increases control, which then increases predictability, manipulate them. Slave.
I'd add one thing to that, Elliot. It's not only the inflation factor, it's also the tax factor, right? It's so let's say, again, just to walk through the entire scenario. So let's say your father, we'll use his example again, he makes 200 quid a year, right? 200K quid a year, right? Which is, by all measures, well above the 1% factor of income earners in the world. Yeah. Well above. Right, because I believe
even
1%.
Even in the UK, I think it's top 1%.
Yeah,
more than I think it's like 0 point something.
Not point, right? 0.5. So we're looking at the 1% club, right? Because over 43K is technically in the 1% club globally.
Yeah.
So you take away in the UK, what's your tax rate right now? Basic tax rate at that level?
I'm actually not sure, but if you have a business and are in the top bracket, which I think is like 150, you are paying about 55% tax.
Okay.
If you go through all the different taxes.
So yeah, after about 50K, you're about 35%, I think, give or take. So up until that point, it's like 20%. It depends if you do dividends. Generally speaking, it's not.
Let's call it a base 1/3 gone, right?
Yes.
So out of 200, you've got 140 left, give or take. Is that the right number?
Right?
Let's
use that anyway.
So 140K breaks down to about 12K per month.
That's about half that.
12K per month. Right? If you're assuming now, we'll go to the inflation argument or the inflation discussion, right? If this year 140K bought, paid for your mortgage, paid for your heating, paid for your car, paid for your petrol, paid for everything, right? But next year it was 10% less.
Yes.
You're the same amount buys you 10% less.
Buying power is less of
right?
the same amount.
And it keeps going year after year after year after year in perpetuity. What are you doing? What money can you save? What money can you invest? What can you do with your life? Right?
Deliberate. You can't break out.
So you're an actual slave, which is exactly what we're saying. Financial slavery.
No social motility either. So this is another thing Jimmy Carr was listening on the way to here actually. Jimmy Carr was talking, a comedian, very famous comedian, very smart man, went to Cambridge, etc., etc. But he came from like a very working class family. Schooling didn't have to pay for, went to grammar school. It happens a lot. People go to grammar school, which means you base it academic. In the UK, go get free schooling at a good school, go to university for relatively cheap back then, and then you can get a good job and get paid well, etc., etc. But now you don't even have that. Even if you come from a family that has a decent amount of money, still, you go to university, we talk about this a lot, you go to university, you do the right thing. This is another reason why people are so angry. If you are someone that, if I followed the same path as my dad, I would end up in a much worse position than him.
Yeah.
So if I went to university, became a dentist, and then did the same thing as him, I'll be living in a 1 or 2 bedroom flat. My friends from school, a lot of them went to a very good school, but a lot of them went to Oxford and Cambridge. 50% of my year went to Oxford and Cambridge. A lot of them are surgeons, investment bankers. I have friends that are orthopedic surgeons who are literally living at home with their parents. And their parents are like immigrants who came over to the UK with nothing, put their money away, put all their money into their kids, etc. But because they're just older and have a big house, because the house has gone up in value, they're wealthier than their kids, even though their kids are an orthopedic surgeon and they owned a small shop.
How does that fucking make sense? In any capacity, how does all of this make sense?
It doesn't. It's like you said, it's deliberate. These people at the top, this is another thing that drives me mad. People think, oh, they're just incapable. No, they're not. They know exactly what they're doing. Of course they do. I think COVID made a lot of people realize this as well, that we basically used to think, if someone said to you, say, 5 or 6 years ago, I'm sure Elliot was the same, he'd be like, all this corruption, etc. Just, they're doing all these things for control. I'd be like, maybe, I'm not sure, your crazy friend. After COVID, I think a lot more people woke up. They started to realize that it wasn't normal. The amount we were lied to over the last 5 years was insane. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen next, but they're going to do something again, I'm sure.
Well, so there is a philosophy that is prevalent out there in financial circles about the Great Reset. I'm sure if you Google the Great Reset, you're going to find it everywhere. where they talk about completely eliminating the financial system, right, and putting everybody into a home universal income type of thing, and that's based on social standing, a lot like they do in China right now. Like China's the guinea pig for this social system. So if you go jaywalking and you cross the street and you're not supposed to, and you get dinged before the light, or you're halfway through and the light turns red, well, guess what? Well, now you're not allowed to eat meat for 4 days or something crazy shit like that. If we don't take action in any capacity now, or position ourselves higher above,
to look after yourself, unfortunately, that's the truth. You have to position yourself, you're detached from it, basically, right?
the lone wolf theory doesn't work, because a whole bunch of lone wolves that don't work together get fucking eaten.
Yeah.
They get eaten very quickly.
What do you think in terms of talking about financial system? A very, very simple thing was, just an example would be something that people notice, but cost of living and food. Someone like us will moan, but it won't affect us enough. But how do you know how people are living? When you go to, say, to a shop, I remember the beginning of COVID, year 2020, a minced beef, 5% minced beef was, I think, £10 per kilo. Now it's 17.
How?
So it's that's madness.
Did the grass get more expensive for the cow to eat?
Let's just reverse engineer this for a second.
Oh boy.
If you look at culturally what the average man and woman is obsessed with, what would that be?
Money's
number one.
And what would you argue is the most elite financial organizations on the planet?
Banks.
Banks, yeah.
And what do banks do?
Money.
They give it out because they don't fucking want it. Well, what do they want? Assets. Because inflation eradicates the value of money, fiat. So when what does that mean? That means your money, which is you use to buy things, becomes less valuable.
Correct, yes.
And what does that mean? Things become more valuable.
Yes.
So while we're all trying to chase something becoming less valuable, the banks are literally giving it out in collateral
and charging you
so
for
it. The mortgage was the biggest scam of all time ever, because what banks did is they went, hey, we can now go to the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of England or the Federal Reserve and say, we can borrow at base rate, so we can get a couple of bill from the central bank. Then what we're going to do is we can then also use fractional banking to then leverage that and give it out like 100 times over.
Yes,
and then
low interest rates, etc.
Old Billy Boy over here is going to go, right, I'm going to take out this enormous mortgage, clever tool, which basically means they're going to lend you a amount of money against a physical house or location. Now, what people don't realize, and this is the big twist, you don't actually own that house until you pay that mortgage off. Who owns the house? The bank. So the bank were effectively given free money by the Federal Reserve to give to someone that's going to work their entire life for something they never own. And then if they were to default on that thing, they have to give it back to the bank anyway. So the bank has just had free physical assets because they don't want cash, because it doesn't mean anything.
Paper
so
bullshit.
What can you learn from that?
Nonsense.
What can you learn from that? Just do whatever you can to start buying assets, because inflation by default means that the price of those things are going to go up over time.
Yes.
Not the opposite.
Correct, yes.
And it's difficult, but you can even start, there's compounding effects of that. Get small, buy small amounts of gold, silver, platinum, whatever it may be. This is the guy for that. Doesn't matter what it is, own some form of assets.
Yeah. And
That's
can't
it.
be taken from you.
And that's the reason your dad won, because they were able to leverage that. And they were fortunate enough to live through an economic period where they were actually able to pay it off, so they ended up owning it. But that is now stopped.
So, doesn't happen anymore.
So listen to this, right? Listen to this. Let's talk about that in terms of today. Okay? Let's talk about that in terms of today. Today, typical mortgage rate right now in my country, in Canada, is about, let's say, a 5-year fixed loan is about 5.5%. Okay? If you're taking an average house, and let's say an average house is $500,000, right? So minimum qualifying down payment is 5% to put a mortgage on your first home, right? On your first, on your primary residence.
Yes, primary residence, your first.
You can put 5% down. But in order to qualify for that 5%, you have to pay an insurance premium of 1.5% or 1.75% over and above. That, don't worry, they'll tack onto your mortgage that you're going to pay.
Of course, so you go, this doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
Right? So we'll ding you with a premium just so that you can strangle yourself with a 5% down payment.
Correct, yeah.
Now, you're taxed as a Canadian, right? I believe the last number, as a salaried employee making, let's say like your dad, making $150,000 to $200,000 a year, is taxed with all the taxes paid between property tax, land tax, school tax, municipality taxes, income taxes, and then regular VAT. For us, it's GST and PST. Yeah. The number is actually close to 72, 73%. So basically, for 27% of your money, you're allowed, you've got the privilege to save your measly 27%. Forget that you got to live by food and anything else. Forget about that. 27%. But then over and above all that, then you have to save for a down payment. Then you have to put the down payment. Then you have the opportunity to pay interest on that for 25 fucking years. You've got to upkeep that thing so it doesn't fall apart, right? So now if you think your $500,000 house, by the time your 25 years are up, how much did that savings cost you? What did that asset actually physically cost you? Would it shock you if it was 3 or 4 times when you add up all the payments, all the upkeep, and everything else? Would it shock you if it was a 4x for that one investment that you actually get at maybe a 2x?
If you were lucky to ever get it.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You might end up paying 4 times for something you never actually owned.
100%.
You've rented the thing the entire time.
You rent it off the back, right?
Can you so Pavel Durov, the owner of Telegram, has a beautiful philosophy.
Rent everything. Yeah, you can tell. You said.
Yeah. You don't buy anything, right? You don't take the liability on anything, and you don't give that to the bank. You just pay as you go. The more money you make, the more you keep, and then whatever you have, you invest into a tangible asset. And I'm going to say this self-servingly.
Of course. But it's true, but it's right, though.
Elliot's give me his James Bond smile right there.
I know what's going to say. I know what I'm going to say as well.
We're going to buy gold, we're going to buy silver, and we're going to buy assets that you can keep, right? In your little handbag, you can keep it anywhere you want. And if you're lucky enough that you make enough that you can continue to stack, a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, everything that you would have dumped into a house in interest, whatever you've lost with deflation, right, or the opposite of inflation, you've actually gained in the precious metal. So where are you, if you did a 5-year survey, where are you in 5 years? Okay, well, maybe your house went up, or maybe it's a down market and the house dropped.
Can do that. That's what they can do that as well now. Yeah.
If any of those negative factors happen, what happens to gold?
That's what it's doing, because we are in a down market in the Western world, right?
Which is why I'm saying, if people don't understand that right now, gold is the sexiest thing in the world to buy, gold and silver, precious metals, you guys are going down the wrong path. You're listening to the wrong people. Bitcoin is the newest thing. Crypto is
new and fun. Yeah, new and fun.
But it goes up and down like a freaking roller coaster. What is solid and what is stable is what's been there for 5,000 years. I pray to God people actually listen to what we're trying to say.
It's always been gold. Precious metals.
100%.
Always been.
This is the epitome. This is the essence of money. It's based on this. And if we can't get this out to people, if we can't make people understand, right? Like Elliot and I are working on plenty of different things.
You mistook me for Gary?
No.
Fuck me.
Because Gary's my guy over there. No, just kidding. Right? So, like Elliot, you've been saying AI powered by gold or backed by gold, right? And my saying is the opposite. I'm the same thing. We're using AI, but it's gold now backed by AI, right? So, or gold backing. I don't know. They're both fucking great. And we got to use this to our advantage, because if we don't do this now, it's going to be too late. If the reset happens and they wipe out everything with the new financial system that's coming out, we got to be 15 steps ahead, because if we're not positioned properly in 3 years to 5 years, man.
Done, finished. I think it's that as well. I think that we have a very, very small space of time to save ourselves, right? I know people go on about Andrew Tate. The reason they don't really like him is he tells the truth. The reason why Andrew Tate annoys people so much is he tells the truth. If he was talking absolute garbage, it would make them angry. It wouldn't make them angry. It wouldn't make them angry. It makes them angry telling the truth. That's why it pisses people off. Like Elliot pisses everyone off.
No, I don't. He doesn't piss everyone off. He's amazing.
No, I think the problem is when you tell someone something they secretly know deep down already, but the problem is they feel trapped. And I have a tremendous amount of empathy for the people, because it's all well and good saying buy gold, but where do I live? So it's more complicated than just that. And I understand, because people watch this and go, cheers guys, I get it, but how do I function? And it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
100%.
It is patience, and the problem is with the world we live in now, patience has been stripped from everybody. And it's seeing the long-term play, and not necessarily trying to become rich this year, but become wealthy over the next 10.
Even over the next 3. We can actually build things.
But even to start with,
Yeah.
just get your mind in the right game that you're probably not going to change your life with the next year with one move.
Yeah.
It's going to take.
Of course not.
It's going to
Definitely.
take consistency, persistence. The same way it's like building a physique. You don't turn into a rock star in a year. You have to grind day in, day out, eating 7 meals a day,
He's calling me fat again.
hitting the
Doesn't say
gym,
anything.
and being consistent for years. I mean, you and I we were good. We had good physiques, but it took time to mature, years.
And you can't see the positive aspect of it day to day.
ChatGPT just said, we joke, you don't have that confidence until you're in your 50s, because it takes that much time to actually develop that wisdom and knowledge and comfort. Everyone's trying to do everything yesterday.
Well, I've seen a thing.
The strategy is not to
Yeah, it's true.
the strategy is, yes, we have got a short window,
Yeah.
but if you try and panic and make rash decisions, that's definitely not going to work.
Right.
If you try and go nihilistic with it and you just splurge all your money, you're ruining your chances and, more importantly, your kids' chances in the future, because that's the most important thing. Our generation, we will probably be okay.
I think we're the last one.
It's what we leave behind for our kids and our kids' kids. And the problem we're in this fucking mess in the first place is because old Nixon in 1971, in one move, decided to count off and write off all of the generations to come. Because the minute he moved the America off the gold-backed standard, he went, our future generations are going to pay for my comfort
Decision.
now.
Yeah.
And that was the problem. And everyone's and this is the thing I love about humans, is we are greedy, we are selfish, and we are ambitious, and we grow and we advance. But it's also the thing that stops us caring and giving thought for others after us.
Baby boomer generation, they've had everything
baby
easy.
boomers-
They just destroyed everything. They don't realise. They've just got huge amounts of money and just say to our generation, go, just work
figure it
hard.
out. Yeah. Work
just
hard, blood, sweat, tears, and you'll sort it out.
Doesn't work anymore.
no.
We know money is nothing more than confidence. Now, confidence is a bank, and it can be added to or taken away. Now, the minute you print more money and you do quantitative easing and you have monetary policy, which is just handing out banks money through fractional banking, what you do with that is you very quickly strip the confidence that money is scarce. And in the interim, you have an arbitrage of riding that confidence wave until generations down the line, that confidence then is obliterated, which was it orchestrated for the Great Reset? I don't know. One way or the other, the fiat system can't continue the way it is, so something will have to give. So we're living on very rocky grounds, and anyone that is still floating around on a fiat boat probably should think about changing the boat that they're in.
The pain point isn't big enough to make change. That's the thing. It'll be too late by the time it happens.
The thing to ponder on. In terms of stats, do you know what the percentage of population, where they are in terms of age grouping right now? What age group represents the most of the current population in the West?
Oh, okay.
60? 60? 55, 60?
I'd imagine older, yeah. I agree with them. Baby
must be the
boomers.
boomers.
They're having less kids. We're having less
Must
kids.
be the
now.
boomers,
Yeah,
right?
definitely boomers.
So the boomers generation represents over 50%.
Shit.
Whoa,
of the
I didn't say that
population.
much.
So, if you're actually looking at the timing of the Great Reset, and you're looking at that age group, which is my parents, right? My parents are in the boomers, right? If this is the big age group and this is the big bubble, when that dies off,
Which it will.
and there's not, well, it has to, right? It's
Soon. Yeah.
right. When that dies off, and you've diluted now your population by 50%,
But where's that money going to go?
well, it's going to go to the government.
We know that's what I'm yeah.
right? So
Inheritance tax.
think about it from this perspective, right? We know that older population, you get old, you pass away, you move on, right? It's normal, it's natural, it's a cycle of life. But if you're looking at a 50% reduction in humanity, in workforce, in people to feed and people to care for and whatnot, all that money, all that real estate, all that stuff reverts back to the banks or the government or whomever, which that's another topic of conversation.
Yeah, of course, inheritance tax.
Right? But now let's look at it. Okay. So all the cuts that they've done, all the decisions the elites have made to reduce food, reduce farming, reduce, right? What do you think is going to happen after this reset happens where they've turned everybody into a slave? Where are people going to go? What are people going to do?
Go to want money from the bank, I guess, no?
You're going to basically do the same thing, and then you're going to have to promote universal
credit and all
for creation of children, because you need more workforce, you need more labor, you need more everything. Or what are you going to do? You're going to import it from everywhere else. If you look at the BRICS countries and you look up, the opposite of the West, which is the East, everybody's moving into these places, right? And what are the Muslim communities doing? They're making 4, 5, 6, 18,
kids.
right? Why? What do they know that we don't know? What are they preparing for that we don't know? I think it's pretty evident, right? Even Trump came out in the U.S. and said, I'm going to pay for fertilization for in vitro. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Because if the West doesn't wake up, there won't be a West.
Well, in Hungary, I heard this morning actually, per child. So if you have the exact numbers, but if you have one child, you get 20% a reduction of tax. 2 children, the woman gets 40%. I can't remember what the number is, but 3 or 4, it's something ridiculous. And then by the end, I think it's 4 or 5, you don't have any tax. You don't pay any tax. They're encouraging more kids. Was the Western countries, the UK, the US, like native British, Americans, Japan, even worse, and Korea, I think is even the worst. They're not having children. Not.
Where's society going to go?
There won't be.
There will not be a West anymore. So if we don't have leaders in place, and there's a reason why I'm bringing all this up, if we don't have leaders in place that have vision of what the reality is and what the reality is coming quickly, it's not 10 years away. It's fucking right now. If we don't have people that are stepping up and being put into place that are courageous to actually curb this and nip it in the bud before we fall off the cliff.
Done. The problem is people vote for people that tell them it's not their fault. They don't want someone to tell them the truth. That's not how people vote. They want to be told that it's not your fault. We're going to help you. That's how people vote.
No, better yet, they vote for the person that gives them just enough to stay happy.
Yeah.
They
Or content.
They
Not
think
even
that-
happy. Content.
Well,
You're happy,
happiness
right?
for them is just
Existing.
living.
Existing.
So the welfare and the benefits that just trickle through, lights stay on, heating stays on, don't have to go to fucking work and go with your life. I'll vote for that.
Yeah. And then you can blame
And they
other people.
play into the laziness of the humans. So what you're saying is we just need a few Genghis Khans.
Well, then let's go. Well, then let's go. Listen,
Back in the day, you would
Right,
do
lads.
that.
So
Vague.
there's an American comedian by the name of Joe Diaz.
Yeah, I know, of course I know. Yeah.
Everybody knows Joe Diaz, right? So he went on Rogan and he has a famous line. Give me 3 bad motherfuckers and I'll take over a country. Yeah. I see 3 bad motherfuckers right here. Let's go take over something. Let's go.
But that's what would happen
flag.
back. You joke, but that's what did happen back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would. You go,
Yeah.
well, not, they would literally take over. That's exactly what happened.
Listen, I have a friend. I don't know if you know him. I have a really good friend. He's become a brother. He's become a family member to me. Recently, the other day, and you weren't here for this, there was a declaration that was alluded to about somebody having the intestinal fortitude, the guts, the willingness, the energy to fight for something. And he's very, very, very pro-UK.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the only people.
What would you think? As not only as a guy who's known him for a long time, who can attest to his character, who can attest to what he's got inside. What would you think about him spearheading the entire country?
I love it. I trust him.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is, again, literally, you telling the truth again doesn't make people like you. That's the issue. And the truth is, at the moment, we know this, and everything is not even you or me. Everyone knows the truth. We have to go through all the pain in the near future to get prosperous times again. But the problem is people aren't willing to do that. They'd rather just take a step back even further and do even less.
So how would you, if you had to design, and I'll ask both of you a question, right? Because while I'm not a UK citizen, I will fucking move there, plant the flag, and then hopefully get the right to vote. Because I would vote for him 100 out of 100 days, right? If you chose to go down that route, which I think is pretty evident. We'll have to garner support. We'll have to get all of that stuff lined up for you and make you completely bulletproof. But we have to come up with a plan to make Mr. Everyman and every woman want to do that. Because not only do they believe you, but there's also a plan in place that will not only look after them, but give them a plan, right? Because I think if you give people a plan or you show people a way, I think they'll gravitate towards that. And
Of course,
I think they'll go down that road.
Because people at the moment are meandering. They're just, like you said, just trying to survive. Basically,
So-
right?
What's your plan?
I think that the problem with a lot of leaders is they don't have the ability to understand the populace as a whole. There's always subsects. We are very different to most, but you have to still respect how other people think. So if you're going to play the game, you need to understand how all the players within it operate. And the best leaders will know how to incentivize each.
It's very difficult, isn't
And
it?
beating them with a stick is not the solution. You still need to understand that they have this position of laziness right now because that's what they know, that's what they've been fed, that's what they've been brought up to think is okay and is proper. And that's the life they think that they should lead. The minute you start to demonstrate through leadership and through demonstration a more positive way of living, without just yanking the Band-Aid off, you can start to garner support. And it's not a quick thing, but for example, you're a highly disciplined man. You've been training for God knows how many years now. And I don't even know the answer to this, but I will know. If you're around people that stay, I'm guessing you've had people around you stay with you. You are uncompromising in your goals with regards to fitness, with regards to health, with regards to your diet. You go to the gym every day, you
Absolutely,
do ridiculous
yeah.
rowing machine. When people are around you that aren't necessarily as disciplined, do you find they start to become more disciplined with you? Do they start to go to the gym more with you? Do they start to,
Yes.
when they're in your sphere?
So I'll tell you, you'll agree with this to your business. 95% will, but then you get the 5% that will start to be chippy towards you and you've done nothing. You never look down on them, you rude to them up. I'm saying that I've never ever, I can tell you all the same, ever been rude to someone that I first met or I've known for a while, ever. I'm not that person that sees someone overweight and be rude to them, ever. Like, a not nasty person. However, they'll start to think that I'm looking down on them. I'm just not. So yes, most will, but there'll be the 5% that when they can't keep up, they'll start becoming actually rude towards
Why
you.
does social media work in terms of, the crypto guys making money, the scammers and everybody else, and not necessarily just that, but people go on social media and they see something in a lifestyle that they want. And that's why they buy into these mentorships and these schemes.
Yeah, of course,
right?
yeah, of course.
So why? If you go to the psychology of that, and these are the lazy people because they're looking for a way out. So they
Quick,
don't want it.
quick.
It's quick, but what they see is a lifestyle they actually want. So what you do with the general populace is you start to, without forcing it on them, just show how other people are living a better life, but make it attainable for them. And then all of a sudden, they will start to realize that what they're living isn't as good as it could be. And you influence through actions. You influence through what you show them. You don't beat them with a stick because they don't react well to that now. So you have to approach it with an understanding and appreciation from the mindset they're currently in. And most people don't have that capacity nor care.
Well, those actually stress a lot of people. It's people that generally can't afford to do anything, which is huge percent of the population.
So
Even
you help them more, but you incentivize them the right way. It's not like going, well, look, James, I'm going to give you some money. Go do Look, if we start to do this, we'll give you some more money. Incentive structures work really well, especially when you start getting more. You get positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
You do that, you get this. Oh, hang on a minute. And then all of a sudden, everyone around them, oh, my friend up the road just did this, and he's just had he's been upgraded this, and he's just had more. Oh,
friendship circles.
hang on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason all these friendship circles spend, because right now they figure out how to manipulate the benefit system. So they're all learning because it's an incentive structure to manipulate the benefit system.
Yes.
Why do we have an incentive structure to get out of the benefit system?
100%.
Yes.
It's not hard.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But beating
there isn't.
them more and just taking it away is going to do the opposite.
Right.
So
You're
what
right,
you do
yeah.
is you play the same bloody game, but you incentivize it the other way.
Would you, and again, fucking brilliant stuff. So going back to tie in another topic, from the global elite standpoint. When they make plans, they're doing it over centuries. They're not doing it over a 4-year period, which definitely curbs the ability to put things in place long term, right?
Against power for 4 years.
100%, right? So if we were to do something, we were to look at, let's say we're looking at a party, right? And you're looking past 8 years because you want to sustain and you want this to develop and you want this to grow into a movement that is carrying on beyond us. And if our legacy of 3 bad motherfuckers that are going to go and fight the system, if we're putting this together, we'd have to build that movement. So when we bring up a guy like Andrew Tate, who's incredibly honest about his opinions on things, right? Some of his views maybe are a little too honest.
You have to agree with everything.
Right.
95%.
I think if the right message comes out there, right, which is grounded in the masculine aspect, because let's be honest, men have to lead and men have to do this. It's not going to come from...
No, it's not. No.
Right? So we have to do this. So 3 bad motherfuckers make a plan, create a movement, and then we have to instill this discipline and this mindset. And nothing is easy, but you have to fucking work for it. You have to grind it, and you have to be this kind of person. And this has to permeate through your children, which I know as a dad, you're doing a fucking outstanding job. And my humble respect to you on that front. But if you're doing this for a country, or you're doing this for a nation, or you're doing this for a civilization, which is what we need to do, we need to lead, be the example.
I'll take it one step further again as
Please.
well. So another issue that I see is we understand the saying, we are the average of the 5 people we hang around. And we think about that in terms of a friendship group. But you'll be the average of the population you live around.
Sure.
So what's happened in the UK, and I'm not even going to sit there and start blaming immigration, I'm going to start blaming just the diversity of culture and a lack of general drive and purpose and focus and wants and desires. Because we're fractured. So the first thing you would do is start creating an average group of people within the country that align with the message that you want for the country. So you would re-incentivize migration back to the UK. I've been privileged enough to work within Bulgaria very recently, and I've spoken to
my mouth. Exactly what I was about to say.
And I've learnt a lot. So I spent a lot of time in Eastern Europe, and I spoke to the ambassador of tourism there, and I've spoken to the government, and they have a massive problem where they have more people outside of the country than they're doing it. Everyone's leaving the country to earn money to bring back to their country. They all want to come home, but they don't have the economic state to be able to do it. And now they are re-incentivizing through tax breaks, through work structures, their own people to come back to the country. Because what's that going to do? It's going to re-establish the cultural values of that country and start to anchor a movement. And when you see everyone around you doing the same thing or leading in a positive way, you will have to start to change, because that's just psychology.
100%.
Humans will start to adopt the behaviors of those around them. So,
unfortunately, Elliot, the opposite's happening. The culture is
so that's why. So to the point. If we look at how to, so you can always reverse engineering or inverse thinking is normally a very good way to figure out how to actually figure out what to do. So how could you make a country as bad as possible?
What they're doing now.
Yeah,
everything
as much as possible. Yeah,
just do the opposite. Incentivize those businesses to come back.
Correct,
Give tax breaks for people that hire people. Bring back key members.
People, hardworking.
People that are fit, that are promoting good things, that are anti-drug use. All these good leaders and influencers as well, because we have to understand how
it's important nowadays. It is important.
Attention is currency. So you bring people that can spread a message, that can deliver positive messages, one aligned with how we would like the country to be run. And that's where the leadership comes, because they have to make that decision. Someone has to make that decision, or a group of people have to make the decision about what is best for your country, and that should be people from that fucking country. And I said this because some Bulgarian said to me, would you ever run for politics here? No, I'm not fucking Bulgarian. I don't have the right to do that. I'm not culturally... I'll help someone from your country become that person, but it's not my job. That is not my right. That is someone's right from this country, because you have to have been born there. You have to have that emotional connection to that country. And if you can bring that back, one thing I've always been good at is bringing people to me. There was a time when, a couple of years ago, I was mentoring a girl she had a fitness company, and I'd thrown a few events in the UK, and this is when people were starting to leave post-COVID.
Yeah, of course.
And I was sat in my office, and by the way, my office is in the middle of a field, and she went, Elliot, you're so lucky. You went, you've got such amazing people around you. If I was in your position and I had all those people around you, I'd thrive. I won't say her name, but I said, where are you right now? She went, I'm in Dubai. I was like, okay. I said, where am I? She went, in Upfield. I was like, what? In the field. So I turned my camera around and I was like, I live in a field. I said, stop making excuses. I said, you're in the networking hub of the planet right now.
Yes.
I live in East Sussex in the UK, in a country where everyone's left or leaving, and I'm still garnering more people than you are because I make people come to me through my leadership. I don't expect someone else to do it. You build it, they will come. So you can magnetize people through your leadership, and then you get other influential people in that country to do the same, and people will come back. But you have to give the environment for those people to come back.
And they're literally, always said, reverse engineering. They're doing the complete opposite.
Which you just need to turn that shit around.
They're engineering retardedly. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't say that. You can't say that.
This is the funny thing. Literally, look at these people. The Chancellor Exchequer was Rachel Reeves. All these people. Exactly. The thing is that you don't even have to be. You can be a normal average. I'm not exaggerating. Some guy, literally, an average guy, walking down the street in the UK, and you ask them how to improve the country, they'll say exactly what you said. You have to even be that clever. You stop taxing people that heavily. You re-incentivize people that have left and go, look, we're going to give you a tax break for 10 years. We're going to give you a low interest loan.
In perpetuity. Fuck it. We don't need the money. The money, you can't tax the population to death. And to be fair, to be honest, right? Let's be honest. Do you think the government spends money efficiently? Like, do you think they actually have a plan with what they're doing other than doing this?
Right. Where's all the money? We know what's going on. All the contracts. Look at COVID, and people still turn a blind eye to it. Where do you think all the money's gone? All these bounce back loans, all this stuff, and they're like, oh, I don't know where it's gone. I'm like, aren't you bothered by that? You're now paying it back.
How does a career politician who makes 50,000 quid a year, 100,000 quid a year, turn in a multi-fucking-million-dollar estate?
Contracts with the frat. Backhanders, contracts.
It's contracts.
That's why you want to become prime minister. It's contracts. Tony Blair, all these people are making huge amounts of money post being prime minister. That's another one. But the thing is, though, other countries are doing that. The UK is doing it by far the worst. Italy, they're giving them money. They're giving them tax breaks. University educated, they're giving you money off to come back. They're giving you free housing. All this stuff. Italians. My business partner's Italian, Giuseppe from Italy, lives in Naples. They literally gave low interest loan to build a business, open a business. If you're university educated, they give you no tax for 10 years, all this stuff. But the UK is going to make you feel ill. I don't know if you saw this recently in Bloomberg, mainstream media outlets. What they're doing is the British government are doing that for foreigners, but not for British. They're giving people who businesses that turn over, I think it's a small amount of money, they're giving them, I don't want to get the numbers wrong, they're giving them tax breaks. But people ask, oh, look at this. And I was like, but I'm British. They don't do that for me. Oh, no. They're just trying to destroy you as much as possible till you leave. Crazy. And how do we know what to do? And everyone sees what to do, but the thing is the government aren't doing it. Do you think they're stupid or corrupt? And I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's a bit of a fine mixture of both, to be honest with you.